Welcome everyone to our webinar today about women low sexual desire signs, causes, and treatments. And for today's webinar, we are going to have Dr. Edward as our speaker for this webinar. I'm going to talk about a little bit about his history of studies and background. He has the PhD in psychology and Master of Science in Learning, Masters in Nutritional Medicine, and Bachelor of Science in Psychology, and Postgraduate Diploma in Human Psychology. He is also the Principal Consultant, Sex Therapist, and Psychologist at the International Psychology Center, Board Certificate Sex Therapist at the International Society for Psychotherapy, Counseling, and Psychiatry. He is also a Fellow of the World Council for Psychotherapy and invited speaker for the 9th World Congress for Psychotherapy 2020. He's the keynote speaker for the 4th International Psychotherapy, Counseling, and Psychiatry Conference 2020 on couple therapy. And he's also the invited speaker for the 37th European Psychiatry Conference on couple schema therapy. And there are a couple of books that he has written. So one of them is Love is Never Enough, which is on the topic of couple psychology, and the other one is Dancing with Crocodile. He is also the co-author of Positive Psychology, Couple Schema Therapy in the Journal for Reattached Therapy and Developmental Diversities, and author of Positive Psychology, Couple in the International Journal of Psychiatry, and accredited reattached therapist. So I think he's one of the best. So I think we are all going to learn a lot today. Okay, thank you, Doctor. Shall we start?
Sure. Thank you, Elika, for that kind introduction. And I just heard that a paper of mine has just been published. So I'll send it to you in the Journal of Cognitive Psychology on schema. So what we do is we are extending the schema. Mm-hmm. So as you know, there are like 18 schema, but we added a few more now and it's been accepted. So I'll send the paper to all of you.
Congratulations.
And thank you. So yeah, so this webinar is held in the month of Valentine, in conjunction with Valentine, and we thought we'll do something that is addressing intimacy issues. But we do also have many patients with this problem, right? Of so like recently, I don't know whether Karen was with me, but she was. We were seeing this patient together. And she just have lost all sexual desire for her husband. All right. So when we asked her, and she said, yeah, she loved her husband and everything, but she just have like no desire at all for him. So this might be a problem.
Yeah,
as you can imagine. So today we want to discuss a little bit about that, what sort of problem it is and what we can do about that, right? So we would talk, and we welcome all of you to join and reflect on this issue, right? So do you have any like specific thing you want to start with first, Elika?
Actually, I think it is quite a very common thing happening, especially for the couples that have been together for a long time. And after a few years, usually at first, it's very like everything is very like hot and everybody's like so happy to be together. But after a few years, maybe they feel like everything is going down, especially maybe for the women. This is mostly the case. It's like they feel like they're really They are not really into it anymore. Maybe it's not the case for every woman, but for a lot of them, I've encountered that they have the same problem. So I was wondering how they can change this and what are the reasons that this is happening to them?
Yes. So what are the reasons would be a good place to start, right? So in order to know what to do about it, we need to understand what is causing the issue, right?
True.
The point is we have different chemicals in our brain, all right? So these are called neurotransmitters, and two in particular. So that there is a chemical called dopamine. All right, some of you might have heard of it. It is what drives us to do things. It gives us motivation, right? To do things and to actually to connect and start a relationship with others. So when you say, Elika, at first everything is hot, it's because your dopamine was engaged.
I see.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but when things settle down and in human relationship, in marriages and all that, it is important also we have stability, we have safety, right?
Yes.
So but that is the antithesis to desire, right? So you have a conflict. It is difficult to have both, safety and then at the same time, you want to have desire. It is contradictory.
Yes, true.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you are like to save, so if you look at the child, for those of you who are doing child psychology, child development, or those of you who have been a parent, you can, so there's this very famous experiment by the Ainsworth, I think it's Mary Ainsworth. So she was having the child, like if you watch the child, that would explore, right? But they would keep an eye on the parent, on the mother, and see how the mother respond. If the mother is calm and things are safe, they will go on exploring further, right? So that would be that need to explore.
Yeah.
And that need is in all of us. If so we need things to be to be not totally predictable, right? To keep on exploring and grow. But if you do everything the same, while with this COVID and everything is difficult to do new things, right?
Yes.
So that is very important. Also, we discussed that, in this COVID situation, how do we keep the relationship fresh and novel, right? To keep the desire ongoing. So that is the problem. That is why the problem happened, because things settle down and people do not do all those exciting and new things anymore, as you do when you first get to know someone. You tried out new things, you tried out new places, but when you get into a settled relationship, you forget all those things. Every day is the same.
Yes.
And that is why desire fly out the window, right? That is a problem.
And there is another thing that I remember you always said, that when you take care of the relationship, the sex will be okay afterwards. I think this is also something, maybe something like a miscommunication between the couples. For example, when there is a problem and they do not really talk about it. So after a time, like it will grow to a bigger and bigger problem, and this will make them to become far from each other.
Yes. Yes. So I think relationship is necessary but not sufficient, right? It is not totally true. You take out the relationship, sex will take out itself. No, we also need to talk about sex. All right, and this is the problem. The other problem, most couples do not talk about sex.
Yes, that's correct.
They just assume it's going to happen, and So there's no conversational space about sex,
Yes.
right? So we don't talk about, you know, what you like and what pleases you, you know, and all this conversation couple do not talk about, isn't it?
Yes, true. Yeah.
I mean, if you don't talk about it, we do not know,
Yeah.
right? So we need to create this space and talk about sex, so that we know, you know, what turns you on, what fantasy you would like to have, and maybe even share some of the fantasies,
Yes.
right? Some fantasy and reality are very different. It's not that you know, you fantasize about something that you're going to make it into a reality. So sex talk, all these are very important part, and if you don't have that, you don't share a lot of intimacy. So that is one of the big problem with a lot of couples. There's very little space to have this conversation about sex. All right, so there is something, I mean, we've heard about IQ, emotional intelligence, all right, but there's
Yeah.
something called erotic intelligence.
Oh, okay.
It's also EQ, but a different type of erotic intelligence, right?
Yeah.
So that is the problem with a lot of couples. There's very little erotic intelligence. Yeah, that might be very high. So that is the problem with this couple that Guy and I saw recently. You know, that the husband is very successful and everything, but there's very little effort spent in what we call flirting in courtship. All right, for many couples, they think you know, courtship ends when you get married, but that's not true,
Yes.
right? You so that's the thing. We talk about stability and safety, right? Whereas courtship happens when there's danger, you know, when you don't know whether you are able to successfully be able to get a girl, whether you're able to get her to bed with you, you know. That's why you need to try hard. You need to do the courtship. There's a that there is lack of certainty, right?
Yeah.
But in relationship, we kill all that, you know. Everything is we take it for granted, you know. We're going to get the sex, you know. And so that is the problem. We need to stimulate back, you know, this courtship and period of uncertainty, right?
Yes.
So we need to find ways to have all these elements, right?
Yeah. Correct. For example, they can, like, couples can go like on date nights even after they got married and everything gets settled down. Maybe they can like try to make it like more romantic and do some this kind of things to make everything more like interesting, like the old days, like the beginning.
Well, yeah, there is a therapist called Harvey Hendricks that do this. You know, he called it re-romanticizing, re-romanticizing activity. Find out what they used to do, and then they will do it back. You know, and it's true. Many couple don't do that anymore. All right, but I'm talking about even more than that. Okay, so even this date night can become a routine. You know, every Wednesday night we're going to go to you know, take turn to find a restaurant that become a routine. Then it's going to also, so you need to put an element of uncertainty, right?
Doctor,
Yes.
do you suggest that the couple should actually watching porn to make it more exciting?
Well, some couples do that, right? But what I'm talking about is an element of unpredictability, right? That you put into the relationship, rather than, you know, if porn is not a solution, certainly, right? But porn can be interesting in terms of helping the couple to maybe explore new ways of connecting, right? Ways that that they haven't tried before, maybe, you know, if they need that, right? To connect, to make love, you know, rather than, you know, the same style, you know, every time. So that can be something that porn bring into the picture. You use it as a tool, right? To find new ways of relating, you know, things that are uncertain, right? So this is what you had in the beginning in terms of courtship, right? Which we lose, and that's why desire go out the window. Makes
And
sense.
also maybe using some of like sexual like accessories, like adding some spice to the relationship. I think there are a lot of people who feel shy about using this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we were just doing earlier, you know, a discussion in expressive therapy, right, and spontaneity. So it is true. A lot of couples are very self-conscious, right? They're emotionally inhibited, right? So you need to find a way for them to express themselves, to be more spontaneous and play. And this is where some of the modality like expressive therapy, you know, can come into being. So you can find ways rather than going straight to, you know, to the sex and thing. You need to find ways where couple are able to connect in a very spontaneous manner, right? Like doing music together is great. You know, you improvise, you play, you know, and it's very uncertain. So that is a great way, I think, of really connecting, you know, making music together, for example, you know, you sing, play, and then from there it can then transfer to the bedroom, right? Because then you have a way to explore, to be spontaneous, not so self-conscious, and play with each other. So that is the big problem, because we have different aspects of ourselves. So it's like different, you know, Freud talk about the super ego, the id, you know, and the ego, and there is a psychologist called Eric Berne, I believe, and he started a therapy called transactional analysis. All right, so he divide the person into the parent mode, you know, the adult mode and the child mode. So three mode, which is very similar to Freud, right? So the problem with a lot of couple is that they get locked into either parent-child, you know, or adult, or parent. So they lose this child-to-child connection, which is very important. And also this is the natural child, the playful child. And without that, you know, and sex is about that, to have that playfulness of freedom, of expression, of connection. So that need to be reestablished. You know, you need to refine that connection, which was probably there in the beginning, you know, during courtship and everything, and that get lost to child rearing, to all the responsibilities of doing things, you know, and that's then kill the desire and sex, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Hi, Doctor. This is Sonia.
Sonia, yes. Let me see
Yeah.
where I can see you.
Oh, Doctor. So I think you would not mind. I'm not in that frame, like I can come in front of the camera right now. So I just would like to know that. I just would like to know that you know, I mean, if parents can do romance in front of kids, I mean, how much do they need to open up? I mean, do they really need to put some boundary and some limitations, like if they're flirting? Because the kids has to also learn the, how to build a relationship and this healthy flirting. But is there any boundary which we need to create? And can you just explain a little more about it?
Yeah, so obviously this is depending on your on your culture and your values, but in general, children need to learn that sexual expression, flirting, all this can be a very healthy form of expression of love, right? And understand it in that context. So I think that there is space, and that there is too much suppression by a lot of family of not showing any expression at all, right? That then they will feel very weird that the parents, they won't hug each other, right? So yeah, true. It is true that this is where children learn and model from adults, from parents. So they need to see that their parents are can be very affectionate, right? But if you start making out in front of your children, maybe that's too much, right? But certainly the holding hand, kiss, and all that, should be a common part of daily expression. Yeah, a good point.
Thank you, Doctor.
Right. So
there is a question coming from Alrina.
Is sex necessary? Wow. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And then this issue is linked to menopause, right? And it is true, and not only the woman but men, right, also go through something equivalent called andropause. All right, so menopause and andropause is basically the drop in your sex hormones, and it is linked to your loss of desire, of libido, and it is in today's skills that we have, it is all this can be reversed or delayed. It is even possible to reverse menopause if you want to do that, right? But certainly we can supplement with a lot of sex hormone like estrogen, progesterone, and for women, the male hormone testosterone is very important. Not to the same degree that you for men, but enough testosterone is what really boosts libido, sexual desire. So when you have reaching menopause, all this drops, and now we have the thing called perimenopause, right? For the good few years before menopause, all this level is starting to drop, and you don't have menopause yet, but all this loss of desire and libido or is starting to happen. So all this can be reversed and supplemented. And also the question is sex, what was it? Is sex important? Or
is sex necessity?
Necessary. Well, I mean, what is necessary and not, that is for you to determine, but certainly it is not necessary to lose it. Let's put it that way. If you want it, it can be acquired. What is why is sex important? It is well, first of all, it is a way for you to enjoy, right? There's something called human sexuality, right? So will loss of sex affect health? Well, when you are engaging, in sex, you have a great well-being, right? So all your hormones, like when you watch a woman during pregnancy, the face is glowing and everything because all their hormones are in flow. And same thing with sex, right? So when you are having an orgasm, all your the hormones will be peak, right? So in this way, it is a very healthy for both men and women. Definitely, you know, your hormones, your neurotransmitters, your endorphins, all these are the optimized during lovemaking. It is certainly very good for health, and there's no necessity for you to lose it, you know, by any means. So I would suggest if menopause is an issue, you can look into that and replenish all these hormones. That is certainly something we can do that our ancestors were not able to do. All right, but now with very simple cream, you know, testosterone cream, estrogen cream, you can just rub it on your skin, and you will optimize all your hormones again very naturally. These are called bioidentical, you know, hormones, natural cream. You can do that, right? So there's no need to have premature menopause. If you want to have menopause in a timely manner, that is up to you. But certainly not necessary to have premature menopause. And sex should be enjoyed for the elderly. You know, there's no reason for it to be stopped during menopause or andropause. You know, you can supplement back the hormones, and it can be enjoyed right through the, you know, to old age. So sex is something that is a very natural, important part of life and relationship, right?
Doctor, I'm Annabelle again in here. I just want to ask a question regarding to female orgasm. I know that lots of female probably does not get orgasm every time they have sex. Does orgasm very important to every female? I mean, like for female, you know, by getting orgasm, does it do a lot of things to us, or what kind of benefit is that? Thank you.
Well, we have to be careful that we don't turn sex into what you call a goal orientated activity, right? So the goal of sex is not to have an orgasm, right? So we have to be careful not to, otherwise it's going to be a big problem. You know, you have the sex and then you didn't have an orgasm, then you're going to feel very bad about it. You know, you're going to feel down. So sex is about communication, you know, just being with the other person, having the pleasure, and if the orgasm come, then that is great. All right. And there are different ways of getting orgasm, right? And some women can have orgasm by just you know, you touching the back, right? And we can even have an orgasm without touching. So there are different ways of achieving orgasm, and of course there are the different type of orgasm as well. So the, you know, to your question, is orgasm important? Of course, when you have an orgasm, then it leads to a different physiological outcome as well. You know, your different hormones, your endorphins, all these would come, and you are in a different states, you know, but orgasm should not be the goal, nevertheless. All right. But at the same time, it is important, and that is something about female sexuality, right, which is very different from male sexuality, right? So for orgasm to happen in a female, it takes time. It takes time to build up, right? Unlike for men, you know, it is fast and quick, and you know, and too short. So you need to have the man understand that, you know, it's a different process of being, you know, you need to feel relaxed, you know, for that to happen. And and that's is a whole process that cannot just happen like that, right? And the other problem is how we bring up girls and boys. That is different, All right. So for those of you who are mothers, you know, if your boys masturbate themselves, okay, you won't like be too worried about it, you know. But if you see your girls, you know, start touching themselves in the vagina and things, and you know, you will have a whole different reaction, right? So therefore we encourage masturbation for boys, but not for girls. And that lead to a very different outcome in terms of you being aware of your body, of knowing about your sexuality. Because without, you know, I have seen so many patients, you know, they have sexual problem, the women have sexual problem, and then when you ask them, they never masturbate, right? So one of the first key start you need to get them to do is to learn how to masturbate. So they need to take charge of their own sexuality because before they can share it. Whereas boys don't have this problem. You know, men, we masturbate all the time. I mean, not all the time, but too much, right? So for some, it is become the other way around, right? So that is one of the problem of bringing up boys and girls, which is different in our attitude to men and women, right? So women need to learn more about their own body, you know, about masturbation, and that is very much linked to ability to have orgasm. So when you cannot even do that and know your own body, then obviously that there will be a problem having orgasm. Okay. So what else?
Any more questions, everybody? What, doctor, what about using like something like the vibrator or something? What is your idea?
Well, it is a tool, you know, that might have a place, right? But it would because sex is what you call a multi-sensory activity, you know, multiple intelligence. So erotic intelligence, you know, it uses all the senses, right? So when you rely on a tool, you know, because you are gifted with all your sensory the tool yourself, you have hands, you have fingers, you have tongues, you know, lips, all this can be utilized and explored, right? So really that there is no need to have all these different tools, because you have enough tools yourself, really. You know, I mean, I'm not against tool per se, right? But I would say, you know, explore what you have first, and that there's no shortage of that. I would say, you know, because then you will fully engage all your senses in enhancing this erotic intelligence, right? Your sense of smell, of touch, of vision, you know, everything is all part of it.
I guess I'm gonna ask
Kamini.
Hi, doctor. Hello.
Okay.
Hi, yes.
This is Geraldine. Sorry, I'm not convenient the video. I'm just curious, like, at what age should we encourage daughters to masturbate?
Well, so the thing is, it is not something that you need to encourage. It's a very natural thing that your daughter will discover the pleasure, you know, of touching herself. You just need to ensure you don't develop a very critical parent stance, you know, of making her think is something dirty and something not to be engaging, right? So when they have that discovery, yeah, you need to be very understanding and supporting, and say, yes, I understand that give you pleasure, and that is great, you know, and you can do that, you know, in your own space. Yeah, that is something not to be done in public place. But you know, if you enjoy it, you do that, yeah, it's something that give you pleasure, and you know can have you should have pleasure, right?
Yeah, but
and be
like,
able to find ways to give yourself pleasure and take that responsibility, right? So that is the message you want to send.
so how about pornography? Like, I mean, like boys, when they start, they normally then engage in like pornography or magazines, pictures to stimulate their sensory. I mean, I don't know. So how about girls? I mean, how do we? It's such an uncharted territory in Asians.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, how? I mean, like, is it okay then they watch pornography because there's so many types of
Well,
yeah.
yeah, with pornography, I would be careful of exposing too early, because it can lead to addiction, right?
Mm,
It is to do with the dopamine part, you know, of the brain that we talk about. So the same thing as in gaming, you know, internet, all this I would not expose the child too early, because they will um, they will easily get addicted to it without the prefrontal lobe, you know. For your information, men, you know, we do not develop the full prefrontal lobe maturity until we're in our late 20s, and girls will develop a bit earlier, right? But without that control, then you are very susceptible to addiction, all sort of addiction, and pornographic addiction is of course one form of addiction that plagues us. So girls and boys, yes, but when we're talking about masturbation, it's not, you know, pornography and masturbation do not need to go hand in hand. You know, in fact, I would say the pornography would very destroy, you know, the natural way of having imagination and fantasy, you know, form of achieving orgasm of masturbating. And girls, I think is much better than boys in terms of that you know you are able to access your imagination and fantasies, you know, and whereas boys and men, we are more visual, right? With girls, that there's you are able to engage in your fantastic world to access that. So really that there's no need for pornography.
But doctor, when that happens, will it then create like unrealistic expectations when they have a partner?
You mean pornography?
I mean, no, like say if you leave it to a girl's imagination, right? I mean, girls like romance and all that, but I think in reality, we all agree that it doesn't always happen in reality. So
Which
yeah.
is why you need masturbation, right? So girls who do not masturbate, and then they get into you know, in a relationship and have sex, and they think, okay, wow, you know, so that's like the first time they experience orgasm, and then things, you know, or rather, you know, they get into a date or something, and then they have sex, then they think this must be love, because they have no prior experience of sex without love, right? So
Yeah.
that becomes a problem. Whereas for I mean, sex and love is two different things. You know, it can be combined, and that's great. You know, but for boys, we all have that experience. You know, sex is sex, and it doesn't need to be combined with love per se. And then, you know, so that is something that would be dangerous for women not to experience, you know, when they were young. Then they, you know, the first guy that they have sex, they think that they will need to be, you know, be in love with them forever, which then is not true, of course,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
right.
that is the danger, rather.
Okay. Okay. All right. Point noted. Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
Okay, and there is another question from Kamini here. Does earlier sexual abuse play an important role in causing low sexual drive among women, especially later on their life?
Well, yes, totally. And it depends on the nature of the abuse, but when sexual abuse happen, then you acquire some schema, some program that what the sex means to you, right? It becomes as in all abuses, then it probably is something that is very imbalanced, right? It needs to, we need to look at a specific case, of course, but certainly it gives you a certain bias of what sex is about, and if that there is an element of danger, of harm, all right, of not feeling safe, of course that is going to then affect, give you some fear about having sex, and when you that's very interesting. Yeah, so like we said earlier, there need to be interplay between safety and danger, right? So if there's like too much safety and predictability, then desire will cannot be there. But if it's too dangerous, then also that becomes a problem. So you need to have that balance, right? So some element of unpredictability, of newness, is important. But if you have abuse and you feel too unsafe, then it will become a problem. Then you don't feel relaxed enough to have orgasm. So having an orgasm is about letting go. So that also is one big problem with a lot of couples, with a lot of women, that the difficulty to relinquish control, right? To let go. To be able to have an orgasm, you need to be able to let go, right? And allowed your and be prepared to the to be brought to a level, by your partner. So that is important. You need to be able to trust your partner, right? So having some history of abuse might lead to that problem of mistrust.
So there is also another question coming. Is it in general that men and women lose their sexuality due to this pandemic, like fear, uncertainty, etc.? What can couples do in general? Talking about the fears, or communicate more about the feelings, or what can bring people in general together regarding sexuality?
Well, just now we were talking about expressive therapy and music therapy. So that is something couple can do, right? Share some music together, right? And make music together. There are many activities, different forms of arts. In IBC we have something called a centre. You can do a centre piece together, create a piece. So I think we can reframe this whole pandemic into an opportunity. So very often there are too many things to do, right? But now when things are focused, into something that we can tax our resources to create, it can be an opportunity for us to do so much form, like Jolene, you know, we can do an art piece together, all right, to do a shared piece, and so many form of creative processes that we can do together. It's a great opportunity to do that. I would say, you know, not only to do it together, but to be spontaneous, to learn about each other, you know, in all these different art form. Yeah.
Actually, Bianca asks another question. If the other person is not creative, what else can you do to express yourself or together?
Well, I would disagree with you, Bianca. You know, everyone is creative. You know, to be human is to be creative. And also, but of course, some of us have their creativity suppressed due to our upbringing. You're not allowed to. So this is abuse. This is an emotional abuse, creativity abuse. It happens, right? And maybe it happens more with girls and boys. You know, your children are to be the seen or not heard or something like that, right? So the and certainly we were not allowed. You know, we just had a session earlier on expressive therapy, and we get some of our students draw out their dinner table, right, when they were a child, and one of the student, you know, I should not name the name unless you don't mind, right? So they were showing, you know, the message from the parents was you need to eat up, you know, or your food. You know, whereas for the other student, it was like more playful. You know, the father was saying, you know, you need to eat up your eggs and egg white, you know, otherwise you be just like the egg white, just like the feathers. You can make it into a very creative form, you know. But I would in general and say that, you know, the dinner table has become too often a battleground, you know, that you must eat up your food, but in reality you can make it very fun, right? You can explore, and food is should be multi-sensorial, and you know, this is how we learn from food to sex. You know, it is a similar process of using all your senses. You know, if you are like do not give any freedom to explore your food, then no wonder, you know, you are become so rigid when it comes to sex, right? So it is all related. We should make the dinner table a place of exploration. You know, you're allowed to touch your food, feel your food, smell your food, you know, and you know, throw it around, and you know we clean it up later. You know, no big deal. So so creativity can be suppressed, not killed, I would say. You know, can be rediscovered, but rarely with couple you can find that creativity, refine the creativity, you know, and use a lot of the expressive art that we do in the course, you know, to connect back to your creativity and to each other, you know, in that process. So yeah, everyone can be creative. Everyone is creative, right? And sex is about creativity. You know, you just be with another person with no goal in mind. Just be with them and explore what please them. And before that, you explore yourself first. You know, what you like, what you don't like. You know, and only that, you know, then you can communicate to your partner. It's it's all about communication and creativity. You know, wandering into the unknown, and that is the crux of desire, right? When there's an element of unknown, that only that you can have desire. When you know everything about your partner, then you kill that desire, right?
Okay, so she's still asking that if they don't want to express through art or music, is there any other way to be creative? I think the answer is yes. You can do like even cooking together. It's like this is something that daily happens, and you don't just need to follow a very like strict like some recipe. You can just try with different spices and just go with your guts and make something new and have fun.
Exactly. Go to the market and look at the different food, different spices, and that is a great way to explore food cooking. Indeed, and that can be then translated into the bedroom, right? Different places. What is the connection between love and sex, right? There's one question on that. Well, there are the different things, right? But they can also be combined and connected. So there are the different form of sex, of course, right? And we have talked about the dopamine sex, the settled sex. So that is the thing, back to the quote, by me, you were saying, the Elika, take care of your relationship, and the sex will take care of itself. Well, to some extent, but on the other hand, the sex also need to be taken care of as well, independently, right? So love do not necessarily just get automatically translated to sex, right? So that is one of the big problem with traditional couple therapy training. We all think that we just do look after the relationship. There's no need to talk about sex, and then sex will happen, but it's not true, right? So that's why we have sex therapy, and George, who was meant to be a co-host today, is doing the sex therapy course with us. So now it's a entirely different subject, right? Sex need to be addressed, independently of love and relationship. And then in the Asian culture, it has been overlooked. It has become a taboo, and that is a problem. It is a very healthy. It can be a very healthy expression of love, of communication, right? But it's not the same thing as love per se, right? It is one aspect about having pleasure, having a good sense of well-being, and and it can be combined with love, right? So when you have love for one person, a romantic love, and you have that commitment, right, to do this very intimate activity with this person, then it's a great combination. But at the same time, you also need to look after the love and the sex, right? So that the sex the desire do not just die off, because you don't explore, you don't give space to the creativity anymore, and you think just look after the relationship, just be safe, that is enough. So that is not enough. All right. So that is why I have the book called Love is Never Enough. You need sex as well, right? So love and sex, they are overlap, but they complement each other, and that they also need to grow, support each other. You cannot just assume sex will look after itself when you have love. You need to also attend to the sex.
Doctor, I have a last question. Does eating chocolate, drinking red wine, or eating oyster help at all, especially during menopause?
Well, oyster has been touted as so all these what we call aphrodisiac, right? Things that the food that help us to feel passionate. Red wine is helpful to to some extent because it decrease your inhibition, right? So it decreases your prefrontal lobe need to control, especially for people and a woman who love to have a lot of control. It disinhibit them, make them more free, loosen up. So that is helpful in that sense. But too much, and then you fall asleep, and that will be a problem, right? So in its and red wine is probably one of the most healthy type of alcohol, right? It is not sweet. You need to find the dry ones, like a Shiraz or something like that. And then the oyster is helpful because of the zinc in it, right? And people probably think it looks like the vagina, and but I don't think that is true. It's because of the nutrients in it, the zinc, but you need to be careful of mercury, of too much. You need to find a wild oyster, but certainly having food together, whatever it is, and sharing that experience is helpful. And what is the last thing you were asking about the food? Chocolate. Yeah, chocolate. It has the dark chocolate. Is very has a lot of antioxidants. So, but you need to be careful of the sugar. You need to find those. I make my own chocolate and things, and that is fine. So yes, all this can be helpful.
How about iron? Iron in food, that doesn't help female at all.
Iron is helpful in female, especially premenopause, when you lose a lot of blood, So yes, certainly food that is rich in iron would be helpful. Certainly.
Thank you so much.
No worries, but you can get a lot of supplement and things. And then for those of you interested in your hormone and things, can go into our lab website, which is malaysialaboratory.com, so we can put the link there. You can look at all our hormone tests and get supplementation based on that to increase back your neurotransmitters and also your hormones, right? So all this can be done, and hopefully I'll have my ebook out. Love is never enough. The hard copy has finished, but we'll get the e-version up. And those of you who are interested in this subject can join us on the sex therapy course, as well as the couple therapy.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I think we are done with our today's webinar. I wanted to thank you everybody for showing up today, and especially Dr. Edward for all the insightful speech. And I am wondering if there's any other question, but I don't think that we would have the time for it. So I think that would be it. Okay.
Yeah, no worry. For those of you interested, we'll have the Malay version of this next week. You can come in again, and we can talk more with Liana and everyone. All right. Thank you, Anika, for hosting this. Wonderful to have this conversation with you.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Have a happy Valentine.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's. Bye-bye.
Bye.